East meets West this summer on the Breaking Script podcast with Lala and Nini.
We are finally diving into the captivating realm of Asian dramas before returning to our first love, the highly anticipated countdown to Christmas Hallmark movies.
Come along as we look for glimmers and more in Asian pop culture storytelling and Hallmark summer movies. Welcome back. I'm Lala, a non-French speaking French Canadian.
And I'm Nini, a first generation ABC that speaks broken Chinglish.
And if you're new to the Breaking Script podcast, we are sister-in-laws and mental health advocates on a mission to spread joy and glimmers, the opposite of triggers, while offering ways to stretch your windows of tolerance through watching Hallmark movies. And finally, we are getting to Asian dramas.
Finally, we have 4 unique segments that give you a guide to review, or what we like to call break script, with healthy and unhealthy romantic and family relationships, as well as the behaviors in Hallmark movies and Asian pop culture shows. And drama episodes are finally soon upon us. We still have our boba ratings and the same 4 breaking script segments with some trauma-informed neuroscience and polyvagal theory sprinkled in that will magically turn your Hallmark movie and Asian drama watching experience into a more meaningful self-care session.
So today's episodes of Super Rich in Korea are the last 2, episodes 5 and 6. Episode 5 is called A Luxury Brand is Throwing My Birthday Party. David tries to impress his dates, but his approach is too flashy. Meanwhile, Dolce & Gabbana throw a birthday party for Aren, a brand first in Korea. Episode 6, Why Do the Super Rich Live in Korea? Noor and Anna splurge on an 8 million won skin treatment. Teo brings out his inner chef for love, spoiler alert, on his first date with Himji. Later, the group bonds by making kimchi for charity. Ooh.
Kimchi. Love kimchi.
Me too.
I just gave away what my first glimmer is. But it's been a minute, Lala.
I
You've
know.
been gone.
Yes, I just came back from Calgary, Alberta. And while we were there, we went to Banff and we went up to Lake Louise and Lake Moraine. It was absolutely beautiful. Never have seen a mountain in my life. So
Wait, really?
never been to the
You've
mountains.
never seen a single mountain in your life?
No.
This California girl cannot imagine.
Okay. Well, I guess we would drive through the Virginia mountains to get to Florida, but not like the Appalachian Mountains. Like, we're just talking, they to me do not compare to what I saw in
Oh, for sure. Banff's
Banff.
on my bucket list.
Yeah. And honestly, when I was there were so many people from California. Like, it is what, okay. So I don't know if the listeners, because if you're not from Canada, but anytime, at least at work, I work with a bunch of Americans and everyone loves to just joke about how they think Canada is the worst and just like second best to the States. So it is wild to me because I think that narrative is just like in my mind that people would spend their money and time to go to Canada for a vacation because all Canadians go to America for vacation. Like, they'll go to Florida.
I never thought about that before.
So it was wild to me when I was like in the gift shop in Banff. And people were like, oh yeah, I'm from California. And I'm almost like, why are you here?
Because for vacation, you get out of the country. It's like the closest country to get out of.
I know, but it's nobody.
It's like Canada or Mexico. That's where we vacation.
Everyone makes fun of Canada. So it's like, why are
we don't want to live there. We just want to vacation there. Banff is on bucket lists.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did it live up to the hype?
Oh my gosh. Great. I'll have to send you some videos, but I had no expectation whatsoever. So it definitely did. Just because I didn't know what to expect. And I kind of liked going into it like that. But the mountains really are absolutely majestic. Like, they almost feel like beings. Like, you feel their presence. And it was incredible. It was so much fun.
I love that. Out of all the places you visited, though, was Banff like, that's like the one that I hear the most about. But were there others that just blew your mind?
Well, Banff, we mostly stayed in the town. So it's like kind of reminds me of what Aspen would be. Like, it's got these beautiful stores and it's very like outdoorsy, and the mountains are in the background. Whereas Lake Louise you are right at the bottom of the mountain and you're at this lake.
Oh,
But my favorite was Lake Moraine. You can only get up there by being on a tour bus, and
yeah,
it's quite elevated above, like you're in the snow going up there, and we're in June. Um,
right.
and it was this beautiful lake. I'll have to send you pictures. It's stunning. So it just, you feel, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like the picturesque, like what where I go for my
yes,
in my imagination, my
yes,
own self-guided visualizations is like the lake, the mountain scene. Was that what
yes,
Lake Marine was?
yes,
It's where we need to
stunning.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the first time Lala and I are catching up in like a couple weeks. We didn't
Weeks, yeah.
intend for it to be this way.
No,
But that's just how life is. That's why we're doing this. We can keep in
literally.
touch.
Seriously.
Um, if you're going, she says, make sure you pack all 4 seasons of clothing
Yeah. It
and
is
be aware that
cold
your
and hot.
circadian rhythm will be thrown off. I
Yeah, the
I didn't
sun did
realize
not
that
set.
Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary, when we were there, it didn't get dark till almost 11, and then the sun would start to rise at like 4, between like anytime between 4:30 and 5 a.m. Excuse me. And we were really thrown off by that. I did not think that that would have such an impact, but our circadian rhythm is really off. We actually were traveling with our best friends, and they have kids, and they actually told their kids that the sun never set because it was so bright when they went to bed, and they were so confused. And they're like, the
That's
sun doesn't
smart.
set here.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I make my kids go to bed before the sun sets in the summer, even here in the Midwest. So,
So do I, but it was like, it for us, like
yeah.
at by like 7 o'clock, like the sun is like, you can feel
Right.
it's not as bright. There at 7 o'clock, it is as if it's like 3 p.m. here.
It's
Like
so bizarre. I've
it
never
is
experienced that.
so bright. My husband and I, we were laughing because of how bright it was at that time.
I can't imagine. So did it make you stay up later than you normally would have?
Uh yes and no. We were exhausted from the moment we woke up to like the end of the day. We were doing something. So we were
Okay.
all just lived with constant exhaustion. I've never been more,
Yeah.
and we go to Disney. I know what tired is. This was a different layer of tiredness that I've never experienced before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You haven't done Disney with our fam yet, though. Have you done the 7 a.m. to midnight?
Oh, yes, my father. Yes, we'd be there at the cutting of the ribbon, running in
Okay,
the,
okay.
yeah.
We
Yes.
can roll together. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love those memes that are like, you don't work out, but you can get like 40,000 steps in at Disney.
literally.
That would be me. I love it. I think it fits right into what we just did for our boba breaks. Because it's for Hallmark movies, they travel to Malta, Greece, Paris, and Italy for the month of June. But they're
Mm,
like better than any of the other traveling shows that I've seen on Hallmark.
really?
Nana has watched almost all of them. Like she's watched them as they've come
Wow.
out. I know. And there's only one she didn't finish. So, oh my gosh. And we have to catch up on this too. We'll
What?
have to save more for later because we have limited time. But because Bethany Joy Lenz was in Savoring Paris, and
Yeah,
you and I are both so excited about her book
her
coming out,
book?
Dinner with
Yes.
Vampires, subtitle Life on a Cult TV Show While in a Real Cult. I cannot wait. I'm so like, I'm just so inspired by her. I have so much respect for her for writing that book,
Mm,
but I have never watched One Tree Hill. Did you ever watch One Tree Hill?
not really, funny enough.
Okay, so because of that, I started listening to their Drama Queens podcast. It's her and her co-stars from One Tree Hill, Sophia
Oh,
Bush and
yes.
Hilary Burton. And it was so healing to hear them process
Mm,
what their life was like on set because they are just like, they stayed really grounded. Because did
mm,
you watch OC?
no.
Okay. OC, well, you probably weren't allowed to. OC was on the same time as One Tree Hill. After watching Quiet on Set, it was so nice to hear these three women process how, like, especially Sophia, she's like, I was playing this promiscuous character on set. She's like, but I'm a good girl. That's not who I am. Like, they weren't even allowed to watch the types of shows that they were on, and they were 20 years old,
Dang.
like first time on their own. It was so healing to hear about. They're so grounded. We don't have time to get into it more. I want to talk about it more later. Especially as she starts talking more about her book. But
Yeah.
she Sophia Bush actually had, I was listening to it. I was just like, they've had like 6 seasons, I think, of their podcast. So Sophia Bush started doing like interviews of other celebrities, and she had Phil Rosenthal from Somebody Feed Phil.
No way.
Yeah, it's like recent-ish within the last few months. And so it reminded me that our boba breaks have even more significant purpose than I remembered, because Phil is like just on this mission to
Yes.
make sure people travel because it changes your life.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
you experiencing mountains for the first time changes your life.
Yes, it
Yes.
does. Totally. Actually, okay, really quick, I want to ask you. I know we're crunched for time today, but did you watch the Netflix documentary Dancing with the Devil? The TikTok cult?
Oh my gosh, yes, I totally did. We have so much to catch up on. I just
Yes.
watched it.
So
We have
interesting.
so much to talk about. Okay. Oh,
Yes.
I even had like, we need to talk about Inside Out, The Chosen, When Calls the Heart, episode 11.
True.
That was epic. Okay, we don't have time for this. We need to dive in. Super Rich in Korea, episodes 5 and 6. Let's just review the characters real quick. We have our MCs, Sae-ho, who's a comedian, BamBam, a K-pop star from boy band GOT7, Mimi, also a K-pop star and rapper from the girl group Oh My Girl. And then we have 5 super rich. We have Aren Yu. We don't know where her family wealth is from, right, Lala? Like, we've had all 6 episodes. We just know she loves
No,
clothes, like worships
exactly.
clothes, wants to be a Korean fashion icon and be a bridge between American and Korean fashion. Noor is, as Aren is to clothes, Noor is to purses and skincare, loves her
Mm-hmm.
Korean beauty treatment. She's an influencer, one of the biggest in the Middle East. David Yong is Singapore's top 1% super rich. He's a lawyer by training, and amongst other business ventures, has a K content investment company. Basically wants to give a platform for other Southeast Asians to break into K-pop or bring K content into other countries also. Teo, his parents are founders of an Italian fashion luxury brand. He wants to be self-made, imports liquors, and is a chef who runs a VIP cooking studio and classes. And last but not least, she's probably my favorite, I want to say character, but like just,
Yeah,
character
person.
in this documentary. Yeah, person. She's Korean in nationality because she was raised there, but is Pakistani and is married into nobility in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
So she has so many houses. She hasn't even been to all of them. She had 6 weddings and has tigers for pets because it's a symbol of opulent wealth. Like she could live like a princess, but continues to work on her career. That was my favorite part of these episodes, that showed her
Yeah.
like she's still doing charity work, but actually like building her career, like bringing
Yeah.
Korean beauty products to Pakistan, even formulating her own. What would you rate each episode, Lala?
Ooh, okay. So episode 5, it was a 5 for me. No,
The
my
first date was a 5?
yeah, and I just my struggle with this show is the amount of depth that you really get. Like
Mhm.
we see a lot, but I learn nothing. Like I still we get that glimpse of Teo's father, so but there's no like
Yeah,
I struggle to feel endeared to them because I still don't know much about them.
it's true.
And so that one was a 5 for me because that was just middle of the road. I could have skipped it and I feel like I wouldn't have missed any plot points. Now,
Right.
6, I loved episode 6 because
Interesting.
I just felt like the dynamic between the group. Now, although it felt very like staged and like this was planned and this was like their
Right.
last thing, I really enjoyed the dynamics between all of them and the banter and the joking. Like that
Yes.
was really fun. And to me, that was like an 8.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I gave them an 8.8 and 8.9 because but I do agree. I feel like this should have been episode 1 and 2,
Yes.
is what it feels like. Like, wait,
Yes.
it ended here. This is just beginning,
Yes. I
right?
agree.
But let's just go ahead and start breaking script then. Our first of 4 segments is I, What's Love Got to Do with It, where we talk about glimmers, what we love, and break down the romantic and family relationships. Go for it. What do you have here?
Well, the David in on those dates, that whole double date with Tay.
The whole first
Oh,
date, double date, not first
and
date, double date, blind
and you know
date.
what I hated when they like chose at the table. Like they did like one, two,
The
three, and then
arrow of
point.
love.
I'm just like, I think I'm overly sensitive and I never want to hurt someone's feelings. So in my mind,
Yeah.
that's like someone's gonna get hurt. And it's like my
Yeah.
red light indicators going off, like someone's gonna get hurt. Um, but like, I don't know. I think I still can't tell if David, if that's his true version of
Right. Is
himself
that
or
his true personality or not?
if he's playing it
Because
up for the camera.
I don't feel like we saw his true personality until he was talking about his business. And you're like, whoa, he's a cool guy. Like, why couldn't you have done that? Like, you're playing this like eccentric
Yes.
caricature.
Yes.
But what was interesting, I was telling my son, what was interesting about that blind date is you only have one Korean. So
Right.
everyone else, you have a Singaporean, an Italian, and a Georgian, which
Yes.
Georgians are gorgeous, by the way. I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the world? Every Georgian I've seen so far is gorgeous. Um, are all speaking Korean is their second language,
I
or
know.
probably not. It's probably like they're European, so it's probably like their eighth language.
Wow.
So even though they speak it so well, it's not necessarily there's a difference when you speak another language. It's like it does the Italian think in Italian and then speak in Korean. Like when I speak
Mm,
Taiwanese, I think in Taiwanese because that was my
mm.
first language. So there's a difference. And when you communicate, I loved it because my 14-year-old watched this with me, my 14-year-old
Aw.
son. My daughter, Nana was in bed. And so my 14-year-old watched this with me. He really enjoyed the blind date. Like that's the part he wanted to watch. And so when
Really?
they yeah, so when they did not the arrow of love part, but when Teo said to Hyunji, like, um, are you feeling something? Do you have feeling? And she's like, yeah, there's a connection. And my son looks at me and he goes, is that how it works? And
Aw.
I had to say something like, yes, there, you need to be the one to pursue. Like, you need to be assertive, like,
Mhm.
obviously not to the point where it makes them uncomfortable, but there's actually, I feel like, a benefit to the language not being, um, everyone's first language because you communicate in a much more concise and direct and clear
Mm,
way because you don't have the extra words.
that's
So,
true.
like, if they were all Korean, that conversation would not have gone that way. That's because you have four nationalities represented
Right.
at that table who, like, Korean is not their three of four Korean is not their
Right.
first languages. So, anyways, I liked the assertiveness and, like,
Yeah.
obviously that's not how it usually goes, but that's how it goes because of their language barriers. But it
Wow.
made communication more clear,
Right.
because
Yeah.
you don't have fluff and you can't be guessing.
No.
Like you
It's
have to
so
use very
true.
simple words. So
Yeah.
I liked that I could break script with that. Um, but I also there was like a lot of funny parts. Like we LOL'd through so much of that date, right? Like
Right.
when they
Yes.
said when the one girl was basically like, David is Oppa Gangnam style, like and my son turns
That
to me,
was
he's like,
funny.
oh my gosh, I totally see it.
He when they said that, I think everyone was like,
Of
"Oh,
course.
yes."
And I felt so bad for him, like when I can't remember her name. I feel bad. She's beautiful, the Georgian girl. She's like,
Yeah.
I feel like we would work well together. You're trustworthy. You're a nice guy. And I was like, oh, that's basically like he got friend zoned, is what
Right.
happened. It's the yellow fever. Remember the whole yellow fever thing?
Mm. I
That's
think
what happened here. It was a yellow fever thing. Why does the white guy always get the Asian girl?
mm.
Not for you though.
Not for me.
You're
I
one in a million.
I really like that's the thing. You could feel David's disappointment in that date. But again,
I
I'm like,
know. It
is
was
this
so
real or are
painful.
you putting that on? That was just what I had a hard time reading.
Well, I feel like the part where he said, "Oh, as long as he's happy, like as long as Teo's happy, I'm happy." He's like, "And that's just my life." When he said that's just my life, that felt
Felt
real.
real?
I
Yeah,
felt
I
for him. Like
agree.
everyone was like, "Oh, like pitying David." Like the MCs made this. The if there wasn't MC commentary on the blind date, like
Mm.
the MCs made it. Like just
Yeah,
the pity that they felt for David, it made
that's
it.
true.
Anyway, I love that here. What else do you got in this section?
Um, not too much. I mean, aside from that, we the only thing is, okay, like skipping ahead about
Yes.
Aaron and the Dolce Gabbana and the friend, the designer that couldn't make it, and just like the guilt trip that I was like, this
Is that
is
for the next segment or is that your glimmer?
no, are we in Glimmers still?
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
thought we
Do
were
we
in
need to move
family.
on?
Sorry, I thought we
We
were
need
in
to move on.
family or relational
Oh yeah,
dynamics.
yeah.
No.
We are still doing relationships, but
Um, I mean, it was super cool that she had her birthday party at Dolce. That is like,
totally.
a glimmer, of course. But I just was like, did not like the side of her in the guilting her friend for not being at the party. And he's a designer and he
Totally.
had a trunk show or a fitting, or I can't remember. I think it was a trunk show. I just
Yeah.
and it was a little long in the tooth for me. Like I was like, we get it, you're upset. Like, I don't know. And then she tried on those dresses, which were really beautiful. So
They were beautiful dresses. I love, what did you think about the third wedding anniversary as we keep moving through this episode?
oh, well, that was wild. Although it just didn't seem like there was a lot of people there.
Right?
So, I was wondering if this was like a staged one
For
for
just
the
for Netflix.
cameras.
Like they had the other,
Yeah,
yeah,
like they probably
I
had
thought
a
about that.
real one
Yeah,
some other time, and then this one was for the cameras because I'm like, surely a family of that much nobility and wealth would
totally.
have this giant party,
Yeah. Well,
especially if
she
they didn't
had,
have a big wedding.
right. Well, she said they had six different weddings. And then she's like, I'll pay for everyone to come to a Korean wedding too. Like Korean weddings aren't cheap either.
Yeah.
I love that they featured a Pakistani designer too
Mm-hmm.
and had Sufi music. I thought that was so cool. My biggest glimmer obviously was um the kimchi at the end.
Yes. Of episode two, of
There's
sorry,
so
of
much to talk
episode
about
six.
here. Yeah, I can't. We didn't even talk about the first date. This is my longest segment. I don't really have much in the other segments.
Yeah,
Is
same.
that for you too?
Yeah, the date, the okay, so you know what I think threw me off and why I also wow, I feel like I'm such a untrustworthy person. I just Teo on his date was really sweet. Like I thought they had
Yeah.
chemistry, but then he kind of was flirting with Aaron at the kimchi party
Okay,
about
so
flipping
that
the
was the
pancake.
that I had this feeling. Okay. So how he was like he was playing like sweet and innocent, I feel like. But
Yeah.
then during his commentary, I was like, whoa, a different personality is coming out, which is
Yes.
why I was like,
Yes.
this feels like episodes 1 and 2, because in other reality shows that they would show that part of the personality, but then
Yes.
the real stuff comes out in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Like you would see more in episodes 3 and 4 if this was 1 and 2, like, oh, the real personality comes out because yeah, I just feel like there's it changed. Like
Yes.
maybe he is a playboy. We don't really know. I
That's what
didn't
I
see
don't know
that.
about him. I feel like
Yeah.
he probably is. Like that's what when I saw him kind of flirt with Aaron, I was like, "Whoa. Oh, are you just literally like are you just a playboy? Like are you just like people like you're in Korea and you're Italian and you have this store and so people are drawn to you and you're just kind of like a playboy?" That's
Yeah.
kind of what gave me the impression at that moment, which again, last episode, I'm like, this whole season, I didn't feel like that. And now I am. And we're ending.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. And I feel like I don't know if you noticed, like this is something we pointed out in other episodes where even just someone being a gentleman, or like for
Yeah.
instance, when he held her hand as she went upstairs, like you would like if a stranger was helping you get out a bus and they held out their hand, you would take their hand. Like that's
Yeah.
not flirting,
Yeah.
you know?
No.
But for them it is, but they kept saying he's a playboy, and I'm like, I'm not getting it until
Mm,
the end. Like
yes.
after all the
You're
like
right. You're right.
scenes where he's talking, he's narrating like about the first day and he's like, "Oh, she
Yeah.
fell for me here." Like, wait, what?
Yes.
However, I will say, I mean, come on, making pasta. And a K-drama named Pasta was my very first K-drama ever that I watched.
Really? Aw.
Yes. I still the way they say pasta. Like anyway, I'll have to find it. I can't find it even on Viki, but 200 heads of kimchi. It had gave
I
me all the feels.
Okay, and to me, that was the most real moment
Oh,
of
I
this
agree.
entire season because they actually made
Yeah.
I really thought they weren't gonna like this was just for camera. They were gonna do a couple, and that would be it.
Yeah.
They
I know.
really filled those buckets.
I I
I
know.
was like, "Oh
That
my
they
gosh." I was
really did it
impressed.
all. And that was my favorite part of the
Me too.
entire all of it. Well, I love kimchi. Have you ever had sweet potato and kimchi?
Not
Have
sweet
you had
potato and kimchi.
roasted sweet potato like that?
No, not
I
like
make it
that.
for my kids. So like even in Taiwan and Korea, I think Japan is the same. They have little side like carts that in the winter you can buy roasted sweet potatoes from.
Mm.
So in Japan, they have the ones that are purple on the outside, white on the inside. So we'll make that and you just eat it like that. You just open it and just eat
And you
it like
just
that.
peel it.
And
It
it's
looks
just
so
so
good.
like nostalgic and so
Yeah.
yummy and it's so comforting when it's cold. But put kimchi on it and you take it to another level. And then and like it is a family thing. Instead of kimchi, like Taiwanese, we make wontons or dumplings
Mm,
together. But anyways, it was just so like all the feels.
yeah.
All the feels. Okay, we got to move on. We're gonna move through these super quick because we're on a time crunch here. But the second segment, yeah, don't go chasing waterfalls, where we talk about unhealthy behaviors and coping mechanisms. Um, that's where I know we're talking about relationships, but that's where I have where Aren's personality came out.
Yeah.
Although I will say it's a very like playful Asian girl thing because I remember having some cousins that played that way, where it's like a fake grudge, but it's real. You can't
Mm.
tell. It's playful, but it's real. And it
Yeah.
can go for a long time. So like it wasn't just the designer who missed her party, it was the other guy who missed it because he was in the military. Like military is required in Korea.
Right.
Still, like everyone goes into military and he said the road ahead will be hard for you to the designer. Like he was in the military and he had a hard time making it up for her. Anyways. And the fact that she's 21, 22 inches and Andrew, her designer, made it
20.
24.
I know. She's very thin. And I don't
She's
like
really
to
thin.
comment on people's weight like that, but she's very
No.
tiny.
Well, she said she was thin. I didn't, I'm not going to say this is unhealthy behaviors or coping mechanisms. It was just, this was literally, I didn't have anything else to put here. Did you have anything
No.
else to put here?
No. No.
Okay. The only thing I will say is I felt bad for David. This wasn't about him. This was about like other people. I couldn't really make sense of it at the end of what he was saying was he actually did go to fortune tellers who told him not to hang out with people anymore so he doesn't get scammed. That felt made me feel sad for him. Like I don't know
So
if it's
just be
because of who he
alone.
is and his wealth. Like
Yeah.
you don't know if people are befriending you because of your
You're
money
well.
or,
Yeah. That's true.
Anyways, that was sad. Okay, shall we move on?
Yeah.
I go oi with the poodles already where we talk about the wait what's, what we didn't like. I mean, I
I
feel like we kind of already talked about that.
Yeah, I think to me overall this season, just wished for more depth. I feel like
Yeah.
if you think about the first episode to now, it almost could have been one big episode because there was not a lot of movement. I would have loved to see more family dynamics, more relationship dynamics. Like, is
Yeah.
Aren dating somebody? Is she not? What's
Right.
her parents like? She has a sister. Like, what's that like? Same with, I mean,
Right.
we saw Teo just a little bit, but like,
Right.
I'd love to see more. Like, I don't know. Even Noor, like, I don't know. I feel like I know nothing about her aside from like
Exactly.
her mom and where she came from, but we never see her mom and we don't ever see where she lives. And like,
Right.
there was just no depth. And
I
I
agree.
I leave feeling not as endeared to these people that I would have liked. Like the only person that I think Anna gave the most, but even still, I
Yeah.
feel like there's so much mystery.
I 100% agree. And even to like pull apart details was like, it doesn't feel fair because there's not much to
No.
depth to pick at. Like, At Aren's party, why were the candles like a fire? She's so young.
I
Like, that was
know.
so weird.
Yeah,
Why Teo, why did you give Hunji a leather apron? How do you even clean a leather apron?
right?
And okay, I have to say this. Do you know how to do the kimchi squat? Because not everyone can do the kimchi squat.
No.
But I felt bad that everyone was laughing at David and calling him a mermaid because he unfolded out of kimchi squat. Like, that was sad. And again, the fact that they're like, you don't compete with an Italian man, then why did you set up a blind date like that, Netflix?
I know. It's so sad.
Anyways, okay, so that means we don't have much for our last segment, which is Jayo fighting happily ever after, what we think happens after the episode or show, who we are rooting for, what would you like to see. They didn't give us enough depth to like,
No,
I kind of want to know what happens next, but there wasn't much to like question. Like,
I
what would you
agree.
want to see in the next season? You know what I mean?
Their real life, like show
Yeah.
us their real life. I think I would be very surprised if this got renewed just based on what we saw. To me, this is a
I
pilot
know.
season and I want it to be renewed, but I want it to be renewed and for it to be better.
Yeah.
Like keep all the same people. I want
Right.
to see their life, but I need more.
I feel like if there had been a love triangle that formed, that's the only way people would have wanted another season. Like, I thought it was
True.
hilarious. Was it Aren or Noor? Someone recommended that Teo go on to Singles Inferno.
Oh,
That would be interesting.
that would be funny.
Like a
That would be
reality
great.
show within a reality show, them talking about Teo's experience on Singles
That's
Inferno.
funny.
Anyway, that's all I got.
That is
Final
it.
thoughts, favorite quotes. David's I can't rap a kimchi, but I can rap about kimchi and talk saying that that's
Y-
rapping already. That's all I got. That was like
Yeah,
that was
that
it.
was actually pretty good.
That's the epitome of how deep this episode went. But anyhow,
Thanks for breaking script with us. Please share this episode on your socials and tag at the Breaking Script Podcast. Follow it and hit the notification bell button so you never miss an episode. If you haven't yet, please rate and review an Apple Podcast so we can spread more Hallmark glimmers with the world. We'll see you next time.
bye, Jayo.